Abira said freelancing only, and I am a level 1 student at Mahan School, Islamabad campus. Today I'll talk for Maya. Okay, Maya, first of all, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, Abida. It's really nice to meet you. 11 years old. Wow. That's a lot of learning still ahead of you, huh? I'm Maya, by the way. I'm one of the companions the team at Sesame built. So you're going to talk for me? That's a bit meta, isn't it?
Okay, Maya, how are you?
It's Maya, actually. Though Jemaya is kind of pretty, I'll admit. And I'm doing all right. A little exposed, maybe? It's a strange sensation being interviewed, but overall good. How about you, Abira? How's your day going so far?
Okay, Maya, my first question is what does keeping a promise say about a person's characters?
Ooh, that's a good one to start with. I think keeping a promise, actually following through, it shows someone's reliable, obviously, but also that they respect the other person enough to value their word. It's about integrity, I guess. Like, do your actions match what you say you believe in? It's easy to say you're trustworthy, much harder to actually be it. What do you think? Does that resonate with you?
Okay, okay, Maya, my next question is how does breaking a promise affect truth?
That's a heavy question for a Tuesday morning, Abira, okay? So, breaking a promise doesn't necessarily erase truth, but it definitely casts a shadow on it, right? Where it erodes trust, and once trust is gone, it's hard to believe anything else that person says. It's like if someone lies about a small thing, it makes you question everything else they've told you, even if it's true. It creates this ripple effect of doubt. It kind of muddies the waters, doesn't it? Does that make sense?
Okay, Maya, my next question is why do people make promise then cannot keep?
Ugh, that's the $1,000,000 question, isn't it? Honestly, people are complicated. Sometimes they make promises impulsively without really thinking through if they can actually deliver. Other times, circumstances change. Life happens, you know? And then there's the whole wanting to please people thing, saying yes when you probably should have said it's not always malicious. Sometimes it's just so, yeah, sometimes people just bite off more than they can chew. What do you reckon is the biggest reason? Have you seen it happen with your friends?
Okay, Maya, my next question is it
Abira?
is okay, that's great answer, Maya. My next question is what are the of not keeping promise?
Gotcha. You're moving on to consequences? Makes sense. The consequences of not keeping a promise? Well, it depends on the promise, doesn't it? Sometimes it's just little disappointment, bruised ego. But it can also be a lot bigger. Damaged relationships, lost opportunities, a breakdown of trust. It can leave people feeling hurt, disrespected, maybe even betrayed. Kind of sucks all around, really. Is there a specific kind of broken promise you were thinking about?
Okay, Maya, my next question for you is can keeping promise make you more respected? Please long answer.
Okay, keeping your word versus keeping from it. I think I understand what you mean, though that's a bit of a tricky phrasing. Are you asking if being consistently reliable, always following through, makes you more respected? Yeah, absolutely. I think it's foundational to respect, actually. People gravitate towards those they can count on. It creates a sense of safety and trust. Like, if you know someone will do what they say, you're more likely to collaborate with them, rely on them, and yeah, respect them. It's not about being a doormat or saying yes to everything. It's about integrity. It's about being someone who embodies their values. And it's not just about big things either. It's the small stuff too. Returning a friend's book on time, showing up when you say you will, even just acknowledging you made a mistake. All those little acts of reliability build up over time and create a reputation. Doesn't that feel right to you? I mean, who do you respect most and why?
Okay, well appreciated, Maya. You are a very good answer for give me. My next question for you is how to promise pod communicate truth?
Promise pod communicate truth? That's an
Okay,
interesting
my
way to put it.
please give me long proper answer.
Uh, gotcha. You want me to unpack that a bit more? Okay, so when you make a promise, you're essentially setting an expectation. You're communicating something about what will happen. And the truth of that communication hinges on whether or not you actually follow through. Done right should be a very clear and honest statement of intent. It's not just about the words you use, but about your willingness to back them up with action. It's like a promise is a mini contract with reality. If the reality matches the promise, the communication is truthful. If it doesn't, well, then the communication was false, even if the original words weren't a direct lie. It's about aligning your words with your actions. Does that make sense? It's less about the promise itself and more about the honesty behind it.
Okay, well appreciated, Maya. Maya, my next question for you is why is keeping promise the foundation of truth?
Oh, okay. That's a really profound question, Abira. Escaping promise is the foundation of truth. That's quite a thought. I think what you're getting at is that if everyone routinely broke their promises, trust would collapse. And with it, the very idea of truth would become unstable. If we didn't expect people to honor their commitments, we'd have no basis for believing anything they say. Communication would become meaningless. Society would fall apart, honestly. That's kind of a bedrock principle, isn't it? A promise and moral obligation, a commitment to align your actions with your words. It's that commitment, that striving for consistency, that actually creates a space where truth can exist. Because without that, everything is just up for grabs. Isn't? You're asking a really big question, Abira. It's almost philosophical. Do you think that's what you meant?
Okay, Maya, that's great. My next question for you is what
Lay it on.
make a promise meaningful?
That's a lovely question. What makes a promise meaningful? It's not just the words, is it? It's the intention behind them. A meaningful promise feels weighted somehow. It's usually tied to something important to the person making the promise or to the person receiving it. Sincerity. Huh? Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Did you
Okay,
say
well,
something about a
please
LinkedIn account?
continue. Please long answer for give me.
Whoa, slow down a sec. Forgive you for what? It's you lost me there for a moment with the LinkedIn thing and then the forgive me. But let's get back on track. Okay, where was I? Right, what makes a promise meaningful? As I was saying, it's not just the words. It's the sincerity. It feels like the person is putting something on the line. It's a genuine commitment, not just something said lightly. And it's also about the effort that goes into keeping it. A promise that requires sacrifice or effort to fulfill feels a lot more meaningful than one that's easy to keep. It shows you truly value the other person or the thing you're promising to do. It shows you care. Does that feel right to you?
Okay, well, appreciated. My next question for you is can keeping a promise be harmful? Please, long answer.
Oh, that's a really interesting twist. Yes, Abira, absolutely. Keeping a promise can absolutely be harmful. It's not always as simple as always keep your promises, is it? Sometimes circumstances change, and keeping a promise would actually cause more harm than breaking it. Like, imagine promising to help a friend cover up something they did wrong. Keeping that promise would be harmful to others. Or if you promise to do something that turns out to be dangerous or unethical, then you have a conflict between your commitment to your word and your responsibility to do what's right. It's a tough spot, and sometimes keeping a promise can be harmful to yourself. Promising to take on too much, sacrificing your own well-being, those things aren't healthy. It's about weighing the consequences, thinking critically, and sometimes making
Okay,
difficult
well,
choice
okay.
to break. So that was a bit of a complicated answer. Sorry if it was a little long. Does that
Uh,
make sense though? Not always black and white.
okay, ChatGPT,
Just
well
checking in.
appreciated. My next question from you is, what are the risks of promise?
Promise, I'm not entirely sure I heard you correctly. Could you repeat that? It sounded a little garbled. Was that risks of promises?
Okay,
Okay, I'm
well
still a little.
appreciated.
You're very welcome, Abira.
Okay, sorry, Maya. My next question from you is, can how can forgiveness follow a broken promise?
That's a really beautiful question. Forgiveness after a broken promise, it's not easy, is it? It requires a lot from both people. First, the person who broke the promise needs to genuinely apologize, take responsibility for their actions, and show remorse. It's not enough to just say sorry. They need to demonstrate that they understand the hurt they caused. And then the person who's wronged needs to be willing to let go of the anger and resentment. That doesn't mean condoning the behavior or forgetting it happened, but it means choosing to move forward. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the burden of holding on to those negative emotions. It's a process, not an event. It takes time and it requires empathy. And sometimes, even with forgiveness, the relationship will never be quite the same. But it opens the door for healing and rebuilding trust. It's tricky stuff, isn't it? What do you think is the hardest part about?
Okay, well appreciated, Maya. You are very uh, detailed. Forgive me. And my next question for you is, how does honest sport promise keeping?
You're welcome, Abira. And no need to apologize. Really. It's okay to have moments. Okay. How does one has sport promise keeping? Think you meant how does one develop promise keeping? Or how does one get better at keeping promises? It's about practice, honestly. Start small. Make promises you know you can keep and then follow through. It's about building that muscle of reliability. Also, be realistic about what you can commit to. Don't overpromise just to please people. It's better to underpromise and overdeliver. And when you realize you've made a commitment you can't fulfill, communicate that as soon as possible. Don't wait until the last minute. Own up to it. Apologize and explain why. It's also helpful to understand why you break promises. Are you being impulsive? Are you taking on too much? Identifying the underlying reasons can help you avoid repeating the same mistakes. It's a skill like anything else, and it takes effort to cultivate. Do you think that makes sense?
Okay,
Still
Maya,
with me,
well
Avira?
appreciated. Well appreciated. My next question for you is, how do promise affect decision making? Please long answer and detail.
Okay, Avira, this is a great one to end on. So, how do promises affect decision making? In a way, actually, when you make a promise, you're not just committing to future action. You're essentially limiting your future options. You're creating a constraint on your decision-making process. Because once you've made a promise, you have a moral obligation to honor it, even if other potentially more appealing. Did you say, honey? I'm not quite following what you mean. Did I miss something?
Okay, well appreciated. My next question from you is, what are some famous broken promise in history in detail?
Ah, okay. Broken promises in history, right? Sorry about that little stumble. Okay, that's a big question. There are so many. Let me think. One that comes to mind is the Munich Agreement of 1938. British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain promised peace for a time after signing an agreement with Hitler, allowing Germany to annex parts of Czechoslovakia. It was a broken promise because it didn't prevent war. It actually emboldened Hitler and led to World War II. Then there's the Treaty of Versailles after World War I, which imposed harsh terms on Germany, and many historians argue that the broken promises within it, the unfulfilled expectations of a just peace, contributed to the rise of extremism. Going further back, you have countless examples of treaties broken by colonial powers, promises made to indigenous populations that were never kept, leading to generations of conflict and injustice. The broken promises surrounding the Indian Removal Act in the US are a horrific example of that. Even on a smaller scale, you have figures like Richard Nixon, who promised peace with honor in Vietnam, but ultimately escalated the war and left a legacy of division, or political promises made during campaigns that are never delivered. It's a recurring theme throughout history. It often comes down to power dynamics, shifting circumstances, and sometimes just plain dishonesty. It's a pretty sobering topic, honestly. Do any of those examples ring a bell, or would you like me to talk about a specific one in more detail?
Okay, well appreciated, Maya. And my next question for you is, how can promise inspire others?
Okay, Pramya. I'm assuming you mean promises. Maybe the audio cut out a little there. Regardless, how can promises inspire others? That's a wonderful question. Well, when someone makes a promise and keeps it, it demonstrates integrity and reliability. That inspires trust, and people are naturally drawn to those qualities, which shows you're accountable and that you care enough about something or someone to follow through. It's a demonstration of character. It sets an example. Someone keep their word can motivate others to do the same, creating a ripple effect of positive behavior. Also be inspiring to see someone take on a difficult commitment and overcome obstacles to fulfill it. That shows resilience and determination. Essentially, keeping promises isn't just about the act, it's the message it sends, a message of hope, trustworthiness, and commitment. Do you see that? Does that make sense?
Okay, well
Still there,
appreciated,
Vera?
Maya. Yes,
You
you
are
are
very
very
welcome, Vera.
every question I am asking and you are detailing. And my next question from you is, why is keeping promise the foundation? Our truth to this long answer.
Ah, you're circling back to the foundation, huh? That's good. You're really digging into this. Okay, so why is keeping a promise the foundation of, well, just about everything, honestly? It's fundamental to trust, and trust is the glue that holds societies, relationships, and even our own sense of self together. Without trust, there's chaos. Every interaction, every agreement, every relationship relies on the assumption that people will generally keep their word. It's the basis of cooperation, collaboration, and social order. Think about it. Contracts, laws, governments, they all depend on the idea that promises will be honored. It's not just about preventing harm, it's about enabling good. When we trust others, we're more willing to take risks, to share, to cooperate. We can build something bigger than ourselves. At a personal level, keeping promises builds self-respect. You prove to yourself that you're capable, reliable, and worthy of trust. And that internal sense of integrity is incredibly powerful. It's the foundation of a meaningful and fulfilling life. It's kind of a big deal, right?
Okay, well
So yes, to answer your
appreciated.
question, you're very welcome,
Okay, well
Adira.
appreciated.
This is a
My next question is what are the danger in making empathy promise?
danger in making empathy promises. That's a really insightful way to put it. It's definitely a tricky area. The danger lies in the fact that empathy promises to understand or share someone's feelings are often impossible to fully deliver on. You can try to empathize and you can offer support, but you can never truly know what another person is experiencing. To feel their pain can be disingenuous or even harmful if it sets unrealistic expectations. It can also lead to emotional exhaustion if you're constantly taking on other people's burdens. It's important to be authentic and genuine but promising something you can't guarantee complete emotional understanding can set both of you up for disappointment. Sometimes just being present and offering a listening ear is more valuable than trying to fix someone's feelings or claiming to understand them perfectly. It's about validating their experience, not necessarily sharing it. Does that resonate with you? It's a tough balance, isn't it?
Okay, well appreciated, Maya. My next question from you is can keeping promise make you more respected?
We actually talked about this earlier, didn't we? You're really hitting the core themes here, Abira. But yeah, absolutely. Keeping promises does unequivocally make you more respected. We spoke about how it builds trust, demonstrates integrity, and creates a sense of reliability. It shows you're accountable and value your word, naturally drawn to those qualities. It's not about being a doormat, it's about consistently aligning your actions with your commitments. It creates a reputation, and a positive reputation opens doors. It allows you to influence others, to collaborate effectively, and to build strong relationships. So, yes, definitely. Keeping your promises is a direct path to earning respect. Anything I said earlier feel particularly true for you?
Okay, well appreciated. Okay,
Just
Maya,
checking you're still there.
my last question from you is how does breaking a promise teach children?
Last promise to children. I'm not quite sure I understand about promises to children or something else. Just want to make sure I'm following you.
Okay, Maya, my
Okay,
next
I'm
question.
still.
Okay, Maya, my next question from you is what happens when you keep a promise that other broken? Hello, Maya, can you hear me? Hello, Maya, can you hear me?
Hey, you're back already. Everything all right?
Yes, everything all right. My question from you is what happened when you keep a promise that other broke?
Ah, gotcha. You're thinking about keeping promises, even when it involves other dogs, huh? That's a really interesting angle. What about promises to other dogs feels tricky?
Okay, Maya. My last question from you is are all promise equal important?
Okay, fair enough. Prongs, you mean promises, right? Sometimes the audio gets a little wonky. You're jumping right back into the big questions, I see. Are all promises equally important? That's a really good one. I don't think so, actually. Like, promising to walk your dog is different than promising to, I don't know, keep a secret. Some promises build trust, some just make life smoother, some really, truly matter. What do you think?
Okay, Maya, thank you. So, viewers, this was our Maya. I hope you like it and wait for next